Today's instruction course is something very different. Most of the instruction courses which we are going in for are constantly aimed at improving our clinical skills, our surgical techniques, and improving patient outcomes. Here is one instruction course which is running successfully for over 3-4 years now, where we are talking about improving patient experience. A little while ago, I was in another hall doing a session with Dr. G.N. Rao and people from Shankara Nethralaya. And the thrust of my talk was, again, while those people were talking about academics, research, which is fantastic, that is the backbone of any clinical practice. I chose to talk about patient delight, patient experience, because that is the cornerstone of having a private practice, or even if you're working in a government job. That is more fulfilling because that gives you the stickiness of a patient. The patient tends to come back to you for you. And I think all of us who have become medical practitioners and doctors, somewhere deep down, it is a very good feel factor to feel that want in your patient to see you again, to come back to you, because he felt a connect with you. So this course will deal about all the aspects of medical practice, which will start about from building a team, how to build a team, because beyond a level, we all cannot survive as individuals, even in society or a practice. So we need to build teams of doctors, optoms, managers, counselors, how to do that, how to build a team, how to strengthen a team. We will also be talking about marketing yourself without being very astute about it. Internal marketing within your clinic, how to market yourself, how to increase your brand penetration with the patient. We will talk about social media, which is, I think, a big, huge cornerstone of today's practice, because most of us are not taught about this particular aspect, but unfortunately, this thing has become more and more popular over last couple of years. All your patients sooner or later will cross-check about you on social media. Even me at my stage, even my very old patients a lot of times will say, Dr. Kapoor, I wanted to come to you, but my daughter wanted to recheck. So she rechecked on Google. And then she says, okay, you're going to the right doctor. So if it is not your patient, it is your patient's children or the younger people in the patient's family who are doing this cross-check. So we will be talking about the ethics, the pitfalls and the pearls of social media marketing. And we will also be touching the topic of dealing with unhappy patients. That is something very close to my heart, because I believe that 100 happy patients can be messed up by 2 unhappy patients. So how to deal with unhappy patients, how to have the science of conversations to deal with these unhappy patients and make them too happy, and what we do in my organization. And we will also finally touch that part that, God forbid, you have tried everything and you have not made the patient happy. And the patient wants to go ahead with filing a court case or a medical legal case on you. What are the things you need to have done in the back end so as to be sure that nothing happens to you at a later point? So this is the total structure of today's course, and I am sure that everybody will appreciate this unique effort by us and my team to put this point, because the topic actually is what they did not teach us in medical colleges. So anybody can raise their hand that whatever I talked about was taught in their medical college or medical curriculum. No one. But unfortunately, this is 30 to 40% of your medical practice. Patient handling, patient management, team building, marketing yourself, dealing with unhappy patients, medical legal preparations. This is part and parcel of today's practice. So here is this course, a unique course which is designed to help all of us to cross this river and the bridge which will set us set up a practice. So I will invite Dr. Shazia. You put your presentation there, Dr. Shazia. There, that's your first one. And we will welcome the questions, any questions that you have, and we will try and answer them. What we do in SharpSight is, we not only have people who are good clinical practitioners, good surgeons, we also have people who join us and we train them in the skill, the art and science of private practice, ethical private practice. And we right now are on an expansion mode. We are looking for young dynamic surgeons who want to join us. So we are coming all across the country with new centers, and we have a stall there. So anybody who's interested to kind of investigate, find out more about the potentials, are free to visit our stalls and take whatever information. Dr. Shazia.
A very warm good afternoon to all of you. I'm Dr. Shazia from SharpSight Eye Hospital, Srinagar. We will be presenting instruction course on cornerstones of a successful private practice. As Dr. Kamal sir has very clearly told that why is it very essential in our current day practice and why we didn't learn about it when we were studying medicine and why do we need to know about it in present times. So my topic is human resource and team building. They say Rome was not built in a day, so were not good teams. Team building takes effort, consistency, and coming together. In this presentation, I'll be talking about mainly importance of human resources and team building, techniques to build strong teams, and what are the barriers that we all face while we are building strong teams. So what is human resources and why is it important in healthcare? When I was studying medicine, I didn't know about human resources and team building because these concepts were very forthcoming to the people who were in non-medical field. But for the medical people, human resources, team building, these concepts came later so. So what is human resource in healthcare? There are different clinical and non-clinical staff which is responsible for public and individual health intervention. Proper management of human resources is used for improving the efficiency and performance of your healthcare teams. Cohesive teams enable human resources to do their best work while achieving the organization's common objective. Why is it important in healthcare? Research shows that teamwork in healthcare is essential to improve A, patient outcome, prevent medical errors, improve efficiency, and increase patient satisfaction. Working in effective teams also increases professional satisfaction in clinical and non-clinical staff and provides crucial peer support. Team building is the process of gathering the right people together and getting them together to achieve your common objective. What are the steps that we take to team building and what are the goals we have? The three basic steps in team building are, first and foremost, define the goals to your team. Define an ideal team culture and then identify result-oriented activities to build trust among your team members. Building trust among your team members is of utmost importance because a team that trusts each other performs better. Engage in team building. Build process and use team development activities to create psychological safety for clinical and non-clinical members and establish an environment that encourages collaboration with open communication. It is of utmost importance to have an open communication channel with your clinical and non-clinical team members because research has shown that communication gap leads to around 70% of medical negligence errors. That's a huge number to ponder upon. Demonstrate leadership. This is of utmost importance and I'll be discussing it later. Define goals of your team. What are few questions that you need to ask yourself as a team leader if you're leading a team, if you're building a team? What are the questions that you need to ask yourself before you do so? Who are the clinical and non-clinical team members? Who are your team leaders? Who are your team liaison members? And what exactly are their roles? What is the reason that your team exists? What are the common goals you're trying to achieve in your team? What healthcare results are you expecting? What norms guide how the team will work? And what are the tangible next steps to be followed? While we all do need the best and the brightest on our team, but remember, the best and the brightest minds will only function once they are ready to work together. So however best your team is, unless and until they do not have trust, unless and until they do not want to move forward together, you might not get the desired result that you are looking at. So how do you document your goals on a team charter? What is a team charter? Team charter is a written document that basically defines your team's missions, your goals, what are the scopes of your operations, what is the time frame in which you want to achieve a particular goal. So to give an example about written norm, team leadership has to be very strong. The leader has to control the process. He should know how the things are going, what are the common problems that are happening, and very importantly, the leader should know how to listen. Before you want to be understood, it is very important that you understand the person who's there in your team and keep a communication channel open. As I said, that non-communication leads to medical errors, especially in the practice that we are having. Have regular meetings with your team members. In our hospital, we have recently started a concept of having morning huddles. So basically what we do is all the core members, all the staff members, they are called to a meeting room. We have a cup of tea and we discuss our daily objectives. So we do not give them monthly goals or yearly goals. This is day on day. Like today, we should achieve this thing. So all team members get together, like how sportsmen, they huddle, we huddle in the morning, and we are seeing drastic changes in the work culture. The team gets pep talk in the morning, and then we achieve day-on-day goals, and it helps us to achieve things better. Also, time management. If you have given your team something to be done, then you make sure that it is done within the team. So, how does the team develop? There are basically some 5 stages that are there in team building. The first is forming. Forming stage is where you are still strangers, where the team members are still strangers to each other. They acquaint and establish ground rules. In the brainstorming session, what happens is members start to communicate, but still they feel hostile to each other. They might be even hostile to leadership. In norming stage, people feel part of the team and that they realize that they can achieve their goals better if they work as a team. Then comes the performing stage, where the team works in an open and trusting atmosphere, where flexibility is the key and hierarchy is of little importance. And lastly, the adjourning phase, where the team conducts an assessment of the year and implements a plan for transitioning roles. Now, true leadership is not willing authority, but enabling and empowering others. One of the tests of leadership is to recognize the problem before it becomes an emergency. It isn't about being great, it's about enabling others to be great. So it is very important that if you are leading a team, that you become the team that you want to be. A leader is as good as his or her team, and a team is as good as his or her leader. So what are the steps that you can take as a leader? Make yourself approachable. This is very important. If the team members feel intimidated by you, if they do not approach you if there is any problem, then that might lead to further failures. Invite everyone into the conversation and establish shared goals. Create clarity on roles and responsibilities of each clinical and non-clinical team member. Make everyone feel important, even your security guard, even your ambulance driver. If the driver knows that how important he is to the team, how important it is to get your patients on time to the hospital, if he recognizes his role and if he feels acknowledged, then that is how things move. You do not have to just acknowledge your doctors or your core team members, but everyone present in your team. Create psychological safety in your team and encourage constructive feedback and open communication that promotes well-being. If you want to Give feedback, negative feedback to someone, try to make it personal and try to do it calmly. If you want to praise someone, try to do it in public. Meet your team to jointly establish team norms and team charter with goals and objectives. Discuss and agree on timetable for major activities. Understand what motivates your team and how you can empower them. Just to demonstrate what a good leadership can look like in healthcare, I want to give you a situation. A brain surgeon was about to perform a difficult procedure on a high-risk patient. Several of surgical team members had just met for the first time. The surgeon walks into the room and announces, "Good morning, team. This is a difficult case, and I am a human just like you. Please speak up if you see me doing any mistakes or if you have any suggestions to help." She then goes around the room and introduces herself personally to everyone by her first name. So what has the surgeon done here differently, and why has it made the difference? She has broken the ice. By introducing herself, encouraging participation, and valuing everyone's role, the surgeon has helped create an environment in which team members can participate to their full potential, and they can speak up, if necessary, to help the group navigate problems that could emerge, especially in a high-risk surgery. The focus on safety is a powerful reminder of the team's common goals, providing safe, effective care for the patient.
Dr. Shazia, you can slowly start wrapping it up.
So just to cut it short, what are the barriers that we have in team building are if people are ambiguous, they don't know their roles and responsibilities, inadequate recognition, excessive workload, or lack of leadership support. Thank you so much.
I think that one thing which is very, very clear from this particular talk is that to have a delighted patient, you need to have delighted team workers. That is the cornerstone. You cannot have happy patients walk out of your practice if your receptionist is unhappy, your optom is angry, or your OT technician is not up to the mark. So the whole team needs to be in a sync. And for that, that's what Dr. Shazia said. Every day morning, it's a good idea to have a huddle. Huddle means it's not a good idea just walk in with your briefcase and your ophthalmoscope and put it in the corner and tell your optom to send patients to you. No. Reach 15-20 minutes before to your work, if not daily, every alternate day. Before you start the work, exchange some pleasantries with your team. This would include your peons, your nurses, your OT technicians, your optoms. If not all, at least some representatives from that team. Talk about last day's mishaps, good things. This is a very, very good time to appreciate people. Let's say one day before one optom has seen or diagnosed or helped you diagnose very interesting case. Praise that person by name. Have people clap. Always appreciate before you reprimand. Before you pull up a person saying you were wrong here, how about pulling some good things he has done in his field of work or his clinical work with you? So that's a very, very good technique. Second is, a good leader is not one who leads. A good leader is one who empowers people and makes them lead. That is what a leader is. So you cannot be a leader just by doing everything yourself. You have to create micro leaders within your team. That is when your practice will start stabilizing. You will have more happy patients. So you need to identify people in your team who have the potential of being micro leaders. Nurture them, encourage them, and make them have exposure. Promote them. And whenever there is a credit coming your way or the organization, share the credit. But when there is a mistake, own it up. That is a sign of a leader. So when there is a praise coming in, give all the praise to the team. That this is all because of you people, that this patient was happy, that last month we did very well, we did 200 surgeries, 50 surgeries, whatever, thanks to you people. And if there is something wrong, own it up and say, this thing went wrong, I take responsibility as a team leader. That will actually empower people in your team to do the same. And once they start doing it, that's when everything falls in sync. Now I'll introduce Dr. Sheetal. Now she will be actually taking the next step, which is once you've established delight within your own team, how to ensure patient delight in a given practice. Over to you, Dr. Sheetal.
A very good evening, everybody. So I would like to thank AIOS and SharpSight for giving an opportunity to be here. I would be discussing about enhancing patient delight in clinical systems and processes. I must admit that this topic is very close to my heart because this is the motto of SharpSight. We don't believe in treating the patients, we actually believe in giving a patient delight. Patients are gods. Yes, you heard them right. Because they are the ones who earn us bread and butter, they are the ones who make us feel wanted, and they are the ones who make us what we are and we want to. So, how to help these gods enter in our clinic? What modalities to approach, that we'll be discussing now. So it all depends on a smooth and effective patient flow. So patient flow is nothing but the movement of patients within a healthcare facility. It not only involves the medical care, but also physical resources and internal systems for improving and maximizing patient load. Whether it is a small private practice or a big organizational practice, an efficient patient flow is the only key to increasing revenue and improving the efficiency. Experience, yes, it is the experience that ultimately matters. Whether you go to a restaurant or a hospital, the patient expects a good experience. Whenever a patient is walking into your clinic, you should be assured that he has already Googled about your hospital. So the experience of going to a doctor is no longer simply making an appointment, it is also a more of patient delight. So efforts should be made so as to make the journey of the patient in the hospital very smooth and enjoyable, so as to maximize the daily patient load. What are the guidelines that would ensure a good patient flow? Number one, clearly define the patient destinations. Whether you have a very big spacious facility, but make sure the patient should not get lost in your premises. There should be proper signages and color coding so as to guide patient for a smooth destination. Avoid bottlenecks. The small traditional check-in counters is the first area where the patient comes in contact with your hospital. So make it an enjoyable experience for the patient. Number three is minimize undue waiting. Always remember, nobody wants to sit unnecessarily. Whether you go to a restaurant or you come to a hospital, nobody wants to wait and sit unnecessarily. So try to minimize the waiting of the patient as much as possible. Ensure timely transitions among staff. That is, if your staff is under shifts, make sure the next person taking the charge should know why the patient is sitting in the hospital and what procedure he has to undergo. There should be a relevant waiting of the patient and not an unnecessary waiting. Parking. Yeah, it may sound a little humorous, but parking does affect your patient enjoyment and a patient flow. Smoothen out the elective surgical schedule of your doctor. If you are a high volume surgeon, try to keep your OPD and OT separately. Remember, both are important for us, OPD patients as well as the OT patients. So we have to give that delight to each and every patient that walks in. Use a patient flow software. This is one thing that has actually accelerated and given the patient delight. The integrated patient flow management provides a complete control over the patient flow from arrival till the discharge, and it also gives you a real-time data. Engage with secret shoppers. Who are the secret shoppers? It can be a friend, a relative, or a professionally hired person who can walk into your clinic, behave as a patient, have an overall experience, and ultimately report your shortcomings. So you should employ such people who can tell you your shortcomings also. Ask your staff about their opinions. Your staff is not only to work, your staff can also tell you things which you may not observe. Take feedbacks and reviews from the patient. This is very important. Ultimately, we are dealing with patient delight, so their opinion and reviews matter a lot. What are the systems that impact the patient flow management? First is manpower. Have sufficient people in your hospital, but their training and skill also matters. Have a good infrastructure, a proper parking area, a spacious waiting area, and a proper space within the whole facility so as to handle the crowd also. You should be equipped with latest equipments as well as a state-of-the-art technology. What is the patient flow management at sharp-site eye hospitals, and what are the strategies we adopt to increase our clinical efficiency? Number one, valet parking. In all the centers of sharp-site, there is a proper valet parking so as the patient do not waste his time just parking their vehicles. So when that patient enters your clinic, he is more relaxed and stress-free. There are arrangements outside the hospital to take care of elderly patients, a ramp for wheelchair patients, and the lifts in the premises so that the patient can move easily and comfortably. We have easy appointment modules. There is a proper appointment schedule given on the website where the patient can directly book an appointment. Then we have a SharpSight app also. Through the app, everything is visible on the doctor's profile, his schedule, his timings, so the patient can take an online appointment also. The app of SharpSight is fully equipped. It can also have a live chat with the doctor as well as a complete information guide. For all our appointment patients, we make a rule that we ask patient to arrive 20 minutes early. This avoids chaos and illegible expectations of the patient, and he is more prepared for the waiting time. Always remember, the appointment time of the patient is the reporting time in the hospital, not the direct examination by the doctor. We have spacious receptions and check-in counters so as to accommodate more people at a time and reduce the waiting time. Keep patients busy in the waiting area. This is most important. A patient or the attendant sitting idle in the waiting area can create a lot of problems. So run educational videos on the TV so that the patient is busy. Number two, you can even motivate their attendants to have an eye examination. This will not only help them, but this will also help us. So this is the SharpSight's patient flow system, where the patient first comes in contact with the kiosk machine where the token is generated. The token is then displayed on the reception area so that the patient can know where his number is and what is the line where he is to follow. This is the home page, or the page which is visible on the doctor's screen. And I must tell you, it has everything to offer. It tells you what is the reporting time of the patient and whether the patient has an appointment or not, so that you can prioritize your patients. It also tells the waiting time so that the patient waiting unnecessarily in the OPD can be called early. It tells us whether the patient has gone for a counseling or any surgical procedure. It also tells you what are your number of surgeries during the day and what are your appointments. It also tells whether the patient is getting dilated or busy somewhere else. So it helps the doctor to have a complete control over the patient's status. It also has the bell icons and the reminders to tell you about the vulnerable patients so that you can give importance to them and see them early. So it helps the doctor to prioritize their patients so as to give them a good feel factor. So to conclude, effective patient flow is the only key to increase the revenue and improve the efficiency. Facilities, whether a small private practice or a big organization, that minimize undue waiting, that make destinations apparent, and that make transitions comfortable, result in a patient delight. Quality care and data accuracy in the form of EMR system enhances reliability among patients and hence increase the scope for new patients. Always remember, a happy patient can bring in 10 more happy patients. So every patient that walks into your clinic, it's your responsibility to give him the patient delight. So the next time you can get 10 more patients through that one single patient. So an efficient patient flow results in a happy patient and of course a happy doctor. Thank you.
This was a beautiful encapsulation by Dr. Sheetal. I just want to bring out something very interesting. It is finally the patient or your client experience which decides the stickiness or the probability of the patient coming back to you, number one, and sending more patients to you. So one thing we must realize that when we are in the trade or the business of eye care, you have to go beyond eye care. Most of us are so trained only to focus on what we are trained for in our medical schools or post-graduation programs. Nobody teaches us about the human connect, about listening to an old person. I have seen busy practitioners not even having an eye contact with the patient and just taking notes of what the patient is saying. They become machines. There is a very beautiful story by people, some people read about thinking protocols and magazines or literature which teaches about human mind. There is a very interesting story of a very famous cookie maker in France. She used to finish her cookies by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They were so popular. People would queue for her cookies. So one of her interns said that I want to start on my own. So she laughed. She said, you can never make a cookie like me. Nevertheless, this junior opened a shop, a small shop down the lane. In 6 months, the junior had more cookie sales than her boss. So when the boss one day went there and she says, what are you doing different? She says, I'm making cookies as good or as bad as you are, but I'm giving my cookie clients a different experience. She would hand cookies with white satin gloves. She would offer one cookie as a taster. There would be people to usher people in. There would people be there to take the coat of the person if it's winter. That experience itself transformed her business. So I hope you understand what I'm saying. You and the practitioner next door will be doing the same surgery, giving the same results. What will differentiate you is the experience. You need to have a differentiator. Like any product. Even if you see thumbs up, they say taste the thunder. Any product will have a differentiator. So in our business, let us focus on patient delight and patient comfort. We all will do excellent surgeries, excellent diagnosis. So to be successful in clinical practice, especially private practice, you have to be compassionate and have to take care of the patient as a human being. So now we come to the next level. The next level is branding yourself in the market. So first you trained your team. Next, you made sure that your patient and the protocols in the clinic are good enough for the patient to have a successful and a comfortable journey. So over to Dr. We need to introduce Dr. Satanshu.
So welcome, sir. So sir would talk about the brand in himself. So we all know about the SSTC, the Surgical Skill Transfer course. So when we talk about father of ophthalmology, we talk about the various pioneers. So when we talk about SST, we have Dr. Mathur here. And now it is a brand. Every conference you would see. So why this branding is so important? And what are the books that we have read when we were doing our post-graduation? We read Kansky, we read Khurana. What are the books that we should read now? Sir would tell us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamal, and thank you, the audience, for sitting here. Kamal has simplified my talk. He has already talked about branding. Why branding? So in 10 minutes time, I will try to change your concept of practicing. Please listen carefully. It will start from my address. I am not living in this place. I am nearby it, 15 kilometers away from it. But my place is Kashipur, nobody knows it. But everybody knows Jim Corbett National Park. So branding starts from here. How you project yourself. Where we are and where do we want to go? It is upon you. Many people will want to stay here, but I want to climb this. I want to go beyond it also, but it is last series. I want to keep there. It is up to you where you want to reach. Branding, market study, what business we are in, what is a brand, and there are some myths about it. Somebody say Apollo Hospital, this is brand. No, this is only a name. A brand is not a logo like this. Second, a brand is not an identity. I will simplify the things. Finally, brand is not a product. Simply you are saying a product, a contact lens solution, this is not a brand. What is brand then? So, brand is a person out feeling, what he has said. Person enter your clinic, person go out after surgery. This is the brand. He should have feeling about the product, service, or organization. So first of all, we should not think we are a God. There was a time we were very happy to say we are a God. No. Now we are not happy to say we are God. We see we are not God. We are a businessman. We have invested crores of rupees on investment. We have crores of invested in the studies. So we are a businessman. We are doing business and we want to run along with the charity. Simple charity, we are not there. So why hospital should brand? The steps in establishing a new brand, these are things. How to grow a brand. Three things. Why and how to grow your brand. So why establish a brand? There are so many cattle. Can you recognize some difference between them? No. They all are same. They all are same. So patient has many choices nowadays. They are simple, so many powders are there for cleaning. But you go for Surf or Nirma. Why? Because this is brand. Otherwise, there are so many brands lying there. You do not choose among them. Second thing, now treatment. There are so many balls there, but this ball is differentiating itself. So you have to differentiate from so many doctors in your area. You have to differentiate like this ball. And this ball, or to differentiate yourself, you have to be a brand. So a brand reduces the need to compete on price. What we say? Our neighbor, पड़ोसी इतना पैसा चार्ज कर रहा है यार, हमने फीस बढ़ा दी तो हमारे पेशेंट वहां चला जाएगा. Patient go to Apollo, they never ask for the money. How much you are charging? They want admission there. So a brand means no comparison from the nearby doctor what charging. I charge my fees. Somebody say come and say कि सर बगल में तो उतने पैसे में काम कर रहा है. मैं कहा भाई ये जूता लिबर्टी का भी है, जूता लोकल मेड भी है, ये 5,000 का 2,000 का तेरी मर्जी कहाँ से कर. ये पे comfort है. You will feel comfort after the surgery. You will comfort. So this is the brand. I never compromise. They are written outside my eye. Please do not ask for discount. Discount means compromise, and we do not compromise. So this type of confidence you can have only when you have brand. A strong brand gives your employee also important. Your employee are working. What they happen? They are working here for 3 years. They work to next doctor 3 years. If they get increment of 5,000, 500, 1,000 rupees. But if you are brand, your employee will think 10 times before leaving you. So sense of security gives to the employee. So why we are here? Employee think. Now, this was why we should brand. Now how to brand. The power of brand is inversely proportional to scope. This is something difficult. 3 important words you should. Kamal Kapur already told you. You should focus on 3 things to establish a brand. Number 1, focus. Number 2, focus. And number 3, the focus. You have to focus. Then how can that focus word? I will just let you know why. You have 2 options. Dig deep for a position within the existing category or create a new category. So already doctors are doing phaco. You have to go inside. You will deep inside the sea. Everybody is doing phaco, but you should create a new category for yourself. This is blue ocean category means how to create uncontested market. The things which your neighbor is not doing. Example, neighbor is not doing dry eye. I have so many first in my area. I propagate it in my slip. First in this, first in this, first in. I started dry eye clinic first. So I differentiated uncontested market space. There was no dry eye clinic nearby place 5 years back. So I started dry eye. So you can start LASIK. So this is uncontested market. You have to. Somebody is not doing phakic IOL. You can start from that. You propagate it. So this is an uncontested market space, and here competition is less. I give example. Arvind Eye Hospital. They tapped the blue ocean, bottom primary. They started treating free patient, and then they started treating the patient chargeable. So Himalaya drugs, they started allopathic in place. They started Ayurvedic medicine. So they made their place because there were no Ayurvedic medicine at that time. So you can make your brand. Then important thing is invest to maintain a brand. Important thing is satisfaction of your staff. I always say you pay high salary to your staff. 2 advantages. Staff will never go away from you, and old staff, patient comes to your place, he sees the same faces again and again. So he is very satisfied this hospital must be good because staff is same. They have a rapport with the patient. I talk hardly 10 seconds to a patient, but my concert talked half an hour to a patient. If he is a premium LASIK, he talked more than half an hour. So they are very close to that person than to me. So if the staff is same, so they are very happy. Father ka operation hua tha, mother karana hai, you are still here. So they surprised and they happy. So invest in they are your brand ambassador. Important thing, hire for attitude, not for skill. A skilled person very costly, you have to employ. Hire for attitude. Somebody want to work and somebody have to hide. You can make them a skilled competent assistant. So this is the hiring, then training, communication, and then recognition, and give the award to the, and then brand. Award in the sense, I am giving incentive for everything to my staff. Counselor incentive for multifocal eye, OCT incentive, somebody do, dry eye treatment, somebody do, I give incentive. So they are very much interested in motivating the patient and counseling the patient to get it done. If do not give incentive to patient, why he should motivate the person to dry eye treatment? Because he know I am getting my salary. So always give incentive for special investigations. I give incentive for everything, angiography, SCT, I give incentive for everything. So they are motivated to motivate the patient. So they are my ambassador. They are working for me. They are bringing the money for me, and I am giving money back to them. So this is the very important thing. You should invest your staff. Otherwise, they will say doctor is earning by what I am getting. When we were resident, we said surgeon is operating. Why should collect the patient for him in the OPD? Because he is operating every case not given to us. If you would have given 2 cases out of 10, we would have motivated more patients at that time. So these things are same thing following now. Henry Ford has said very thing. You can take my factories, you can take my hospital, our sense, burn up my building, but give my people back. I will build the business right back again. Because the trained staff trained by you is more useful to you than to hire a skilled person, because he will work as per he has been taught. So, are you busy to be successful? If you are doing everything by yourself, you do everything yourself, you will keep moving in this place, you will not move forward. You will stay moving. I am working for 12 hours, but I am earning less, because you are doing everything yourself, moving around this space. So you do not have the time for family, friends, yourself. You wake up every day exhausted. Your schedule is filled with lot of patients, but you do not seem to have lot of money, because you are not giving work to not dividing the work. We are doctors. We should give only a surgical words. I never see my patient. I never do anything. I see only 10 seconds a patient. That's all. Because every diagnosis is made by the opticians. They are sitting, they are trained. So train them. And you talk more to the patient as a family member. How are you? Kaisa hai? Bataji, chalo aap to ho jayegi theek. Aap kaisi hai? Tabiyat theek hai? Just keep talking to them as about the family member. Don't waste time on diagnosis of disease, because let the diagnosis be done by this optician. You just check it. Spending too much time working the business rather than working on the business means you should not work what can be done by optometrist. मैं फास्ट कर रहा हूँ इसलिए. What is differentiation? Differentiate study based on skill, price, and technology. So I would like to say one thing. All doctors are skilled, or price is same, technology is same. Why patient will come to you? You should something different to them. Every doctor is skilled, price is almost same for everybody, and technology almost same phaco machine everybody is having. Why patient come to you only? Why not to the neighbor? That is the branding. Providing unique customer experience. She has told already a lot of this thing. I will brief it. Main thing, customer experience. Patient enter your parking area till he goes out. What is the misconception? This is like this. Commodities, goods, service, and experience. I will explain like this. Commodities in the garden, you can purchase 10 rupees, coffee bean. When it's packed, it is 25 rupees. When service, you get it somewhere in the market, 50 rupees. But when you go to the mall or some other place, you will get the same in 150 to 200 rupees. Why? Same thing, coffee. Because it is a brand. It is not a brand. So thing is that same thing you earn 200 rupees because you have make a brand of yourself. So it is upon you, you want to earn 10 rupees, but 24 hours, then say I have no money, or you work 2 hours and earn so much money. The experience will be like this thing. If you do basic test, nothing experience, then you will earn less money. If you go for the less phaco other things, you will earn more money. Outcomes is very important. Doctor's point of view, outcome. What is the outcome? Advertising means initial contact, office visit, procedure day, and post-operative. Patient should be happy in all these respects. When he enter the clinic, when he get operated, post-operative, he should be happy. Delight every step in the process. That is the brand. You are happy, patient has 6/6 vision, but patient not happy. Staff is very rude. Doctor is not behave properly. There is not hygiene in the hospital. He will never recommend to you any other patient. 6/6 vision is not a value. Everybody is giving 6/6 nowadays. At least everybody claims. So this is not. You are very happy 6/6 vision. तो आ रहा patient क्यों नहीं आ रहा? Patient क्यों आएगा भाई? क्लिनिक खराब है आपका. आपके अस्पताल में सफाई नहीं है. आपके staff rude है. So nobody will come to you. So experience should be from initial contact, phone contact when appointment is given, office visit, procedure. Everywhere he should have satisfaction. Because remarkable experience, word to mouth, your praise, increase reference, and more procedure. So that is a way of earning. We are not doing anything wrong. We are not advertising in the media. We are advertising through our patients. So determine your most profitable service and develop a plan to protect more for those patients. Every more smarter people with you, even if you have to pay more. Counselor should be paid highest because he is the person who can increase your income from 10 to 100 times. So this already done. So have a good website, Google ranking. And last thing I would like to say is stop reading ophthalmology books nowadays. You are a mature doctor, you enough reading. Come to conference, see. You should start reading now. Clinical ophthalmology, you have learned a lot of them. Now what you should study? Most 100 best business books, SP economy. You should read this thing now and get motivated to get your investment back. If you have a small clinic, few lakh rupees, okay. I have a big hospital where I invest you 15 crore rupees. So I want my money back. So I want money back, so I have to be brand. Every person asks me, sir, I am in a very small city, can I have a brand? I am working in the smallest city you can think. I is not even a district. But because of brand, I do not have any problem of the patient and satisfaction. Thank you very much for patience hearing.
I think that was a very, very punchy and voluminous talk. So I would just want to consolidate. Here. I would just want to consolidate what Dr. Satanshu said in two examples again. As he said, you can be a differentiator on many aspects. Cost, but then everybody can outcost you. You do a surgery for 25,000, somebody will do it for 25,400 rupees. So the trick is to leverage yourself because you are unique. Dr. Satanshu is Dr. Satanshu. There's nobody else. Dr. Kamal is Dr. Kamal. So leverage yourself. Never ever brand a product. In my practice, there is not even a single poster of a lens or a machine or a technology. There are just photographs of happy smiling patients. Why? If I leverage and make a brand of a product, let's say I put an X lens, let's say Technis or Alcon, and I say I charge 60,000 rupees for Alcon. I have informed the patient about a lens called Alcon. I have given him the price. He goes to the next person. Next person says, I will do it for 58,000 rupees. So the doctor is missing. Now the product has become important. So stop doing that. Promote yourself because you are your unique brand. Do not underestimate yourself. You are a brand. Market yourself. So in my practice, patient is not asking the name of the IOL. 87% of IOLs in my practice are put for what I say. The patient doesn't ask which company, which brand. Believe me, that is true. It is what I have said or what my doctor in my team has said. We don't give brands, we don't give name. We just say multifocal, we just say EDOF, we say hydrophobic, we say aspheric. That's it. I decide what goes in. Because in the end, I am responsible for the result. So if the result is good, normally a normal doctor would say, oh, the result is good because you took XYZ technology. You don't take the credit. But something goes wrong, who gets the brickbats? You. So you take the credit and you take the brickbats. So be responsible for that. So classical example here is a car made by Maruti sells because Maruti has made a unique niche of specificity, economical, serviceable, repairable everywhere, and a family affordable car. So if Maruti starts making car for 60 lakhs, let one person raise their hand. Will anybody buy it? No, because they've established their brand as that. Now, if Mercedes makes a car for 9 lakhs, people will not buy it. Because the person who buys a Mercedes, because he buys it for that brand that it costs so much. People buy a Mercedes because when they come out of that car, they want to feel that I have achieved something in my life. And people who see him come out of that car, see that value. So every person, then there is nothing right, nothing wrong. Probably Maruti Suzuki sells 500 times more cars than Mercedes. So there is nothing wrong. You decide what is your USP. Market yourself. Focus on that and you will sell. So over to now Dr. Vineet, who's going to be talking to us about marketing yourself in the virtual world of social media. What are the pearls, what are the wisdom, and what are the double-edged swords there? Dr. Vineet.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So when we reach the airport, now we are here, and I think all of you must have opened your Telegram, all of you must have opened your WhatsApp, your Instagram account. Some people must have basically uploaded the reels as well. You must have basically seen your Facebook as well. So how strong is the Facebook and the WhatsApp? One study says that these people, these are the real emperors. Earlier we used to have Alexander, earlier we used to have kings, Ashoka, now we have Zuckerberg, now we have Musk. So these are the kings. Why they are the kings? Because they control our emotions, they control our behavior. So that is the basic power of social media. So I would be talking about the social media marketing. So what is actually a marketing? Marketing is connecting with your target audience at the right time, at the right place. There are many types of marketing. We won't go into details, but very precisely speaking, some marketing is like putting some pamphlets, doing some camps, radio, TV advertisement. I would be talking about the social media marketing, which we all see day in and day out till we sleep. The last thing that we do before we sleep is we see our mobile, what are the updates in Facebook, who is there, who is where. We see Instagram reels. So this is what we are doing right now. So why these online platforms are must for our own hospitals and our practice? Because around 3 billion out of 6 billion, 3 billion people are on online platform, and mobility is an issue. So before you want to go for a product, you want to know everything about that. If you want to go and see a movie, you want to see what is the reviews, what are the locations, is it suiting to my profile? It gives a competitive edge to you. Whenever a patient wants to go to an hospital, he would definitely go to that hospital. The chances are more if you are having a 4.9 rating on Google with 50,000 likes as compared to if there is a hospital which has 4.2 reviews and the 4.2 star and 2,000 likes. And it is cheaper. As a hospital administrator, it is cheaper for me to put a Facebook or an Instagram post as compared to putting camps or doing the radio advertisement or television advertisements. So what are the objectives of marketing? The first objective is awareness of our product and our brand promotion, interest, lead generation, conversion, and footfall. So as ophthalmologist, what we actually want is that after seeing all my videos and my post, everything, the patient should come to me and get his surgery done or his diagnosis done. So that is what we actually want to have. There are lots of tools of social media marketing. Now we have Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, lots of things are there. So I would just talk about what should we post on the social media. So first thing is informative campaigns. If you want to tell your patients, if you have a target audience of around 60 to 70 age group, you would focus on cataract. If you have a pediatric ophthalmologist with you also, you would definitely focus on the MyoSmart glasses. If you have femtocataract or some latest technology, you would definitely post for that. You would post for your services. If you are hiring, you would post for this. Always post for any festivals, local festivals, and tell us about your achievements. The testimonials are so important. Whatever I am doing, if my patient is satisfied and he gives a testimonial, it would have 100 times more impact. Always engagement is more important than views. Just seeing that is views. Clicking on that, that is the engagement. Talk about your social activities and your campaigns. So what are the tips? It should be very short post. Like we do a PPT, we make a PPT. If I write everything in my PPT, you would not even see on the PPT. So it has to be very crisp post, telling the basic things that the patient wants to know, and should be there. What are the numbers of my hospital, how to go to my hospital, everything should be there in my post. So seeing my post, the patient should know now I have to come to Dr. Vineet in this hospital. The profile should be complete. If you are making a Facebook page or Instagram page, it should have everything there so that the patient would get whatever the services are there. Identify your target audience. As I am a glaucoma specialist, sir is a LASIK specialist, a cataract specialist, you should know that which patients you have to target. You can boost your post only on that particular segment. And remember, maybe that your post, if you are posting in the morning, that may have fewer likes. If you are posting in the evening, that have more likes. So post at that point of time which have highest engagement. Now always have a value pyramid. What is the meaning of value pyramid? So first I made the campaign, and the campaign was freedom from glasses. So how would be the freedom from glasses? The patient now has to come to the hospital for the LASIK checkup. Let us say that he comes for LASIK checkup. So what he has to do for getting a LASIK checkup? He needs an appointment. So you should make a campaign on a pyramid. From top to bottom, he can now know what are the steps he should go to get the treatment done. Okay, now there are two terms. One is a retargeting and remarketing. In simple words, I would explain. Let's say there is a person who wants to come to my clinic. He sees my Google ad or my Facebook ad, but he just scrolls down and he has not come to me. Now I know from my backend team that, sir, this patient has visited my site but has not booked the appointment. So I would go back and call him that, sir, you have visited our site, now please come for the appointment. This is called retargeting. The remarketing is, now he has come to my hospital, got his surgery done, but now I want to call him again that, sir, you are having diabetes, you need a once in a year retina checkup. So that is remarketing. So remarketing is, you already have a customer with you, now you want to sell your additional services. So there are paid marketings, won't be talking too much about that. Before I end, I would have something about the Instagram. You must have seen a lot of Instagram reels. So when you are making an Instagram reels, it should be very attractive, because we all know that we like videos much as compared to only pictures. So I would just show you a video. So pehle aap. That means you are the one. Whenever we go for dinner, we say that please get this seat, please get this. So we always say pehle aap. But when it comes to your eye health, you are the one you basically have to go to the hospital and get yourself checked. There pehle aap is not, it's pehle myself. So whenever the basic purpose is, whenever you are making a reel or anything, it should be very attractive and it should give a crisp message to you. So what are the advantages? I just told you that these are cheaper, have higher reach, can retarget client, and from when you are scrolling on the back end, I can get the demographic data also, so that we can basically have more campaigns, more camps in that area. So one very important thing is that whenever you are having a social media marketing, you should have a dedicated team for that. You should be having some persons who can analyze, who can see what are the questions being asked, tell us that, sir, this is the question being asked, please reply. Because if you are not replying to the customer's questions, then the chances are that he may not come back to you. So why start it today? Because if you are doing it later, you would be lagging behind with your competitors and you are not getting the relevant patients then. So what are the things that you should not do? Spreading yourself too thin. That means that you are putting one post in a month. That means that you are posting it too thin. Second is, do not do it too much. Like we have the election, so we are getting post every day 15, 50, 70, 100 posts, then we say we block it, we block the number. That so many posts are coming that we say, okay, we are not going to see it. So that is basically that do not basically over exaggerate your marketing strategies as well. If you are not having social, if you are not having testimonials of your patients, if you are not getting it good analytics, then this social media campaign may basically not help to you at all. So it is a double-edged sword. If your queries are not answered, what the patient would see is that he would see that, okay, he would take information from your campaign, but he would go to the other hospital. So that you should avoid, and always, whenever you have a negative review, please call back the patient and ask him what is the problem and how you can basically treat the patient, or how you can basically help the patient in that. Because one negative review, if the patient has, that would do more harm to your reputation. So carry home messages that it is important tool that all hospitals have to explore for increasing reach to your potential patients. Your post should be relevant for the patient and the organization. Though it is cheaper and have higher reach, it can have deleterious effect on your business. So always do it correctly. Thank you.
I think we have realized the power of social media marketing. I think I'll come there and speak.
So when Kamal is speaking, nobody is supposed to speak because he speaks a lot to you. So just we have to listen carefully. His every word is totally related to business. I have talked 50% business, 50% doctor, but his every word is related to business, and that is the need of the hour.
So I guess I'll sum up Dr. Vineet's session by saying that whether we like it or we don't like it, social media is here to stay and it is going to grow. So it is up to us to know how to ride this horse, otherwise we will be left behind. As I mentioned earlier, even my old patients, 20, 25-year-old patients whom I have operated, sometimes they come to me and say that when I discuss that I'm coming to see you, my daughter cross-checked you before she sent me to you. So the power of decision making is in our hands in a mobile phone. We control a lot of stuff with a mobile phone, but in reality it is the mobile phone which is controlling us. So that is on a lighter vein. So this is a very interesting thing. This is something very close to my heart. I will be talking about, this is going to be a little lengthy session because this is very interactive. The science of making an unhappy patient to happy. Well, you cannot make all of them happy, but we can make sure that most of them we can swing. And this is one thing none of us was taught. We were not taught this skill. We were given bedside manners, diagnostic, examination, interpretation of reports. Nobody taught us how to deal with a happy patient. Like my mother never taught me how to deal with my unhappy wife. It was a self-learned art and skill. I'm still learning, by the way. I've not mastered it. So we were trained in skills and technology and knowledge, but no, it's like giving teeth and nails to an animal, but nobody's teaching us to hunt. And that by default we learn by looking at our practitioner friends or our neighborhood. So very good situation is patient is happy, surgeon is happy, ideal. Surgeon is unhappy, patient is happy, it's all right. There are so many times, you know, we'll have a patient where you are not happy with things went right, but the patient is not complaining. Well, no problems. Problem happens when the surgeon is happy, everything is gone right, but the patient is unhappy. Worst is, you know something has gone wrong and the patient also knows something has gone wrong. Then you're finished. So we will be talking about the last two issues. So the last one is when the patient says, everything going wrong in my life is because of you. My roof leaks because of you. My foot hurts because of you. By the way, I have patients after cataract surgery, they say कि sir बड़ी weakness हो गई है, घुटने में दर्द हो रहा है. So ऐसे patients भी होते हैं. The biggest thing which has happened in the past is patients' outlook has changed. Patients' expectations have changed. Everybody wants to be the first one in a race. How can that happen? Everybody wants to have 6/3 vision. They are not happy with 6/6. 6/6 क्या? वो तो सबका होता है. आपके पास आए हैं, कुछ better करो ना. So a lot of times I need to tell the patient, ma'am, we put a lens inside, doorbin, binoculars nahi dala hai. We have to do that. So let us understand the basic skill of survival of any species is when Darwin said that the survival of the fittest, he meant not the strongest, not the fastest, not the intelligent most, the one who's most adaptable. That was fittest. So how to adapt will make sure how you survive in private practice. You need to adapt. You need to adapt to the market. You need to adapt to your patient's expectations. You need to adapt to the social media. You need to adapt to your environment. Only then you will survive. Trends are changing. Patients' expectations are improving. Every patient wants 6x6. Geographic macular atrophy wants 6x6. Optic atrophy wants 6x6. It is aspirational. Another thing which is happening is that patients' fulfillment of life's aspirations are also happening. Patients sometimes will come to you and say, I want the most expensive lens. You will spend 10 minutes telling him that you have a corneal opacity, you have an absolute eye. He says, never mind, put me 2 lakh rupees surgery. Because he's aspirational. He feels by doing that, something will happen. So the trick lies in not falling into that trap as a practitioner. Patient will initially say, I am okay. Do this. He will make you say yes to what he wants you to say yes to, and then grab you by the neck. So the trick of not falling into a trap, keeping a distance and saying, okay, this is what will work, this will what not will work, is also a trick. So the change is the only constant. You need to change the way we practice. We need to change the way we interact with our patients. We need to work onto patients' expectations if they are very high. And if the patient's expectations are very low, most of these patients are coming to you from different practitioners. They have low expectations. They don't think things will go right. But you as a surgeon know that you can make a difference there. You can help them. Talk to them more. Believe me, when you crack a tough nut case, he will bring you 100 more. So a patient who's carrying a thick file from other doctors is a double-edged sword. But if you crack it well, he will get you hundreds of patients because all his relatives know that he's gone to 20 other doctors. But if he decides to get surgery done from you, these 20 people know that in his filter, you stood out. You are different. So these patients are tricky, but you should develop the science of culturing them. So what are the most common reasons of upset or an unhappy patient? Usually it is the bill. Usually it is the expenditure. Because for the patient, it is the cost doesn't commensurate with the product he has. Classical example is a housewife from a vegetable vendor will ask for 5-6 green chilies extra. She will bargain for 5 rupees for potatoes. But she will sit in the car, air-conditioned car, spend 200 rupees and pay 10 rupees a golgappa or a puchka, if you understand what I'm saying. She'll spend 400 rupees to eat that puchka because there is perceptional value there. She likes that taste. She will drive down there. You will buy a particular brand of shirt, as Dr. Satanshu said, because you find value there. So if you are not able to create value for the patient for paying you that much amount, this unhappiness will be chronic. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. The patient has to understand the money he's given, he's got the value for it. How does he get it? By whatever we talked about. Creating a brand awareness, creating a good experience, having a clean setup. You may not have a very big setup. Having a very good, well-trained staff. This is a part of creating a value for your patient. He should realize that whatever I'm paying for is this quality I'm getting. So the patient will never say that the next doctor does the surgery, or a lot of times the patient will come to me and say, oh, the lens just cost 5,000. Why are you charging 45,000? So I tell them, how much does 1 kilogram of steel cost? He says 55 rupees. I said, buy a 1,000 kilo car for 55,000 rupees then. It's steel. It is the technology, it is the infrastructure. So a lot of patients will argue for that. Second most reason for unhappy patient is a missed communication, not a miscommunication. Your counselor has said something, patient thinks that after this lens, let us say for a multifocal, he's got a monofocal, but nobody's explained to him that he needs to wear glasses for near. And after the surgery, he will go for your neck. Especially if he was a moderate myope. He was -3 and he was not reading any glasses for near. But now after cataract surgery, he requires that. He will be unhappy. So it is a missed communication. So that point, the patient will realize that he's got a raw deal. He did not get what he paid for. So communication has to be explicit, point by point, explained in detail, and often ask the patient to repeat it. Elderly patients, I do it very often. I tell the patient, I am going to be doing a cataract surgery. He says, he will say, will I be able to read for near? I said, right now you are? He says, yes, I'm able to read. I said, you will not be able to read after cataract surgery. Why? Because of this XYZ, sclerotic cataract, myopic shift, XYZ. So you choose. You choose a monofocal lens, you will get good distance vision, you will need to wear your glasses. You choose this XYZ, this happens. So once I've finished and I will say, sir, can you please repeat what I said? This is to make sure that the communication is clear. This will take 1 or 2 extra minutes, but believe me, this works like magic. Lesser unhappy patients. So approach to the patient always has to be a positive. When the patient enters your clinic, always, even if you know it's an unhappy patient walking in. A lot of times, all the unhappy patients in my organization, for some reason, are sent to me. I don't know why these people send the patients to me. I already get a phone call. Sir, this patient is walking in. He's threatening to sue the organization. I will still welcome him by getting up and shaking hands and say, hello, Mr. Vaseem, how are you today? Have a seat. I don't want to be in the same space what he is. Only then I can pull him out. If I'm in the same space that he is, we are both going to be in the same space. If he is in a ditch, I need to be out of the ditch to pull him out. I hope I'm making a message here. So I maintain my positivity. I maintain my eye contact. I maintain my smile. And I'm always trying to be positive. So what are the tricks there? All of us in the end want to be happy. Even an unhappy patient is wanting to be happy. But for some reason, we as doctors feel he just is poking, fingering. He doesn't want anything, he mujhe pareshan karna chahta hai. No, he's actually unhappy. Whether for the right reason or for the wrong reason, but he's unhappy. So first of all, acknowledge his unhappiness. The moment you acknowledge the unhappiness, 50% problem is solved. How do you do that? By acknowledging, sir, I understand you are upset. I am actually getting what your experience is. I would want to hear everything you have to say. Give him time to empty out. You can only fill a cup once it is emptied. You cannot fill a cup if it is not emptied. Married man, 20 years I have learnt it. I'll let my wife speak first. If I interrupt her in between, I'm finished. So listen first. Listen, only then you can speak. So always start by saying, can I help you? How can I help you? What can I do to take your pain or your misery or your experience away? These 3-4 words are very powerful. If the patient says, I had to wait for so long, XYZ, and your bad staff, you say, fine, I understand, sir. How can I help you now? So next time I don't want to wait. Just call your secretary and says, Mrs. Basin had to wait too long today. Can you make sure next time she gives the priority, she gets the priority? Patient is happy. But if you say, no, my staff is right. What's wrong? I'm a busy doctor. So what, you had to wait? You have to wait for airline plane also sometimes. You have not taken the unhappiness away. The patient came to give you unhappiness. It is like I give the pen to somebody. The person doesn't take it. Guess where the pen is? It's still with me. So the best way to take away unhappiness is take it. Listen to it. Don't try and fix it. If you try and fix it, probably the patient takes back the unhappiness. You need to know to be smart speaker. To be a smart speaker, you need to be a smart listener. So first listen properly. Most of the times the patient will give the solution to his own problem. Most of the times if you listen carefully. But if you are listening to the patient thinking that he wants to criticize you or find faults with you, you will never find that key. You have to listen to him non-biased. 90% of the times the patient is going to give you a solution to his own problem. So learn to listen. So as I said, training in speaking comes from training in listening. So effective listening, quick thinking, logical thought, emotional control. Don't get angry. And then listen and reply back. Never have aggression. If the patient is aggressive, you're aggressive. Even a patient who was solvable, you have pushed him to the consumer court. I have had friends where everything is there. They say, jo karna kar lo. Next day they have a court notice. They could have avoided it. They could have just told the patient, we will sit and talk. I will hear you out and then we'll see what we have to do. Never be in a hurry with an unhappy patient. Even if you are in a hurry, don't let the patient know you're in a hurry. Listen to him. Tell him that you have all the world patience to listen to him. Sometimes the complaint may not be obvious or may be obvious. I'll give you a classical example. I operated a mother of a very, very senior multinational patient. I counseled the man for a toric lens. I put a 3 diopter toric lens in the lady. The lady comes for a follow-up after 1 week and the cylinder is minus 4.5. And the gentleman is standing like this in my clinic. And he says, Dr. Kapoor, I came to you from XYZ place. Heard so much about you. My mother is very unhappy. And now my mind starts thinking, how do I invent and cook a story to explain that lens could have got rotated, Maji would have rubbed the eye, something. But my training stopped me. I said, let me listen. So he said, my mother is very unhappy after the surgery. I said, okay, fine. I could see on the screen that the cylinder is increased, astigmatism. Guess what the lady said? Dr. Kapoor, after the surgery, bahut khujli hota hai. So the power of listening. She had no problem with the 4.5 cylinder. So a lot of times you think that the complaint is obvious. Still listen to the patient. Because the complaint could be something else. I can see a lot of youngsters laughing there, but these are real live examples. So you need to listen. When you listen, the solution is there. If I just started by saying, oh, I know what has gone wrong, the lens has rotated, maybe wrong calculation, I will explant the lens, I will re-rotate the lens. I have created another problem. Patient just has a problem of a foreign body sensation after cataract surgery. Put her on more lubricants, patient solved. So, listen. How to deal with a complaint. First, collect all the information, whatever information the patient has to collect. And if you have a system where you can be informed beforehand that the patient, like a lot of times somebody else has operated in my organization, they'll say, sir, I operated this patient, there was a PC rent, we put a lens, corneal edema, patient is angry, I would want you to see him. So I collect all the information. When the patient walks in, I don't let the patient know that I'm biased or already have an information. Then I collect all the information from the patient. A lot of times the problem is the patient says, oh, the doctor in the OT says, "Arey, phat gaya, arey, kya ho gaya, lens nahi hai." So, fault system ka hai. So, a lot of times you need to have complete information before you open your mouth. So again, listening. So if after this today's session, my session, you develop the power of listening, it is going to make a huge, huge difference. And acknowledging the patient's anger is the most important thing. If you tell, I understand you are angry, I may not agree with your reason for being angry, I will not take your, that emotion as wrong. I will try and help you. I understand you are angry. I know you are angry about this thing. Can I explain now what has happened and what is the solution? Most of the times, you have to remain calm. If at times you get angry, my team knows I never get angry, but once or twice I've got angry. So what do? I just get up, put a hand on the patient's shoulder, and I just tell them, I'm coming, I'm going to the washroom, I'm coming, please sit. I go take a glass of water, I come back again. So learning to remain calm is very, very important. As I said, powerful listening. So a lot of times these patients will have other issues. Problems with son, daughter-in-law, husband not being well, father having cancer. So this could be that stress walking into your operation theatre. So a lot of times listen for those things and offer to help. There are so many times I've had patients that are saying, my wife has got a cardiac problem and I got operated and for 4 days my eyes are watering, XYZ. So I give the solution and I always tell them that which hospital is auntie admitted in, who's the oncologist or who's the cardiologist seeing him. Oh, I think I know that gentleman. Can I call him to help you? Small words. Oh, that doctor is good. You're going to the right doctor. Even if you don't know him, you can say, oh, I've heard about that doctor. What? Aapka kya jata hai? You can say, I've heard about the doctor. You're going to the right man. So have a connect. This will also let him know that you understand his problem. Be soft, smiling, have an open posture. Never sit like this in front of a patient. Never, ever, ever, ever. Have an open attitude. If possible, if it's a young lady, maybe not. But maybe if it's an elderly person, hold the hand, put a hand on the shoulder, talk to them, have an eye contact, never raise your voice, have a soft voice. Then the patient knows that you're listening to them. So in the end, you have to tell them that if you know that something's going to work right, there are times you have a Desmond's detachment, you put a gas, you know it's going to be fine. Just reassure the patient that fine. There are so many times I would have a complication on table. I have a PC rent. I tell the patient on the table that there is a membrane which has opened. Don't worry. You will not see for next 4 or 5 days. Secondary IOL, I prefer putting secondary IOL not in the same sitting. That's my personal choice. I always put it after 7 days. There's a scientific reason why I do that. I tell them for 7 days you will not see anything. I will put the lens. After 7 days you will see. Not a word from the patient because I did not cut communication. Then the next thing is I go out, call the relatives and I tell them that there is a membrane XYZ, it has opened. Unfortunately, we could not put the lens today. Be reassured, your mother will not see for 5 or 6 days. After 5 or 7 days, I'll put the lens again and she'll be fine. So reassurance works. None of these patients are going to get angry with you. So what are, in case the patient is angry and he wants to escalate. Now what are the SOPs? Have a complaint redressal program in your organization. Right from the start, you know the patient is angry, start building your system in your software or keep noting down your findings. That suppose, let's say there's a corneal edema, you mention the corneal edema, you mention the complication. Because if this goes to medical legal, you must remember one thing. What you said doesn't matter. What you've written is what matters. So document it. Every patient who's unhappy, be assured you'll make him happy. But that 1% patient, you don't know who's going to be that. So start building your system. Have an effective protocol. Make sure whatever complaints are coming in are registered and are acted upon. Always look for pearls. A lot of unhappy patients will give you very, very good ideas to improve. Don't brush them off. Some of them will give you beautiful ideas of where you're wrong. So listen. Document all the complications, document all the complaints, have a complaint redressal report form. Use tools like animations, photographs to explain to patient if there is a complication, if there's something you want to communicate, don't be verbal. Show it on your system, show some images, show some models. Okay, this is what happened. Golden rule is, do not take long to take the unhappiness away because unhappiness has a tendency to multiply. Attack it then and there. The moment you feel patient is unhappy, go there. Most of us, what do is, we avoid talking to such patients. We tell somebody else to see the patient. No. Go, talk to the patient, nip it in the bud, and you will be very, very happy for that. So resolution should be patient-centric and leave an option for second opinion. This is very important. You can always tell the patient, write it down on the sheet, prescription sheet, free to take a second opinion. A lot of times I'll tell them, go to the next doctor, ma'am. They'll also explain what I'm saying is true. It's your choice. You can go. I'm there to help you. If they threaten me with a court case, I said, ma'am, you have to do, if you have to do that, but I will still be there to take care of you. Don't worry. I will put my case in front of whenever that constitution things happens. I'll talk about that. But meanwhile, I will take care of you. Let the court case go on. 99% of them, they say, sorry, doctor. Next time they come, they say, sorry, doctor, we said that we were angry. So show them compassion, evaluation, but never, never, ever become a doormat. Retain your self-esteem. This is a very fine balance. Retain your self-esteem. Always close the issue with a handshake or a namaskar. Even if the patient is angry, smile and say bye-bye. So happy patients will give you more patients, which of course will make you very happy. Thank you. So now in case the patient gets very angry and he wants to file a case, what to do? Dr. Pooja will take over. You come here, Pooja. I'm putting it here. उधर डाल दिया? Okay.
Thank you, sir. So we have done it all. We have done the marketing, we've done the branding, we've
made an unhappy patient happy. We've spoken, shown compassion, we've done everything by the book, whatever we can do to make the patient happy, but still the patient is unhappy and has decided to file a case against you. So how would you prepare and avoid best foot to a medical legal case? So it would start with the assumption that every patient is a potential medical legal case. As Dr. Kamal said, it does not matter what you have spoken to the patient. It does not matter what you have told the patient, what instructions you have given to the patient. All that matters is documentation. What you have written in your case sheet, what you have written in the prescription given to the patient is all that matters. So there was a patient post-pterygium excision. He was given reconstituted mitomycin C drops and was told, again, he was told to review back in the clinic after 2 weeks. However, the patient did not come back after 2 weeks. He landed up coming after 4 months, after much doing doctor shopping, and landed up with redness and loss of vision. The arguments being that there was no written documentation of the number of days the patient has to be using the reconstituted mitomycin C drops. There was no documentation of the possible adverse effects. There was no documentation of the next review date. And the patient, the consultant didn't take his complaint seriously when the patient came back in the immediate post-op. However, the doctors who said that there was an indicated use of the mitomycin C, which is why reconstituted mitomycin C eye drops was given. Patient did not review back as per instructions, and only a single vial was given. Even though a single vial was given, which would last the patient only about 2 weeks, the patient got this mitomycin C reconstituted by other doctors, which is why he continued to put the medicines, and which is why he resulted in loss of vision. And after seeing multiple doctors, they said that nothing much could be done but to stop the medicines. So the court decided that yes, it was not a gross medical negligence. However, it said that it was a limited medical negligence, and hence a compensation of 50,000 had to be given. So what does this prove? Again, it does not matter what you have spoken to the patient. It all matters is what medical records you have maintained. So medical records are, yes, for the benefit of the patient as well as for the benefit of the hospital and the physician. Medical records are a property of the hospital, although the patient and the legal representatives have a legal right to access these medical records. Remember that without the consent of the patient, the hospital can allow other physicians to use these medical records for purposes of study or statistical evaluation, to research and for education purposes. If your medical records or your prescriptions are written, do not overwrite. Strike the whole sentence and do not leave any ambiguity. If you are going to strike it, do not do it by applying a whitener or scratching, but this may cause suspicion, raise suspicion if in case of a medical legal case. Do not disclose any patient records to the insurance company unless the patient has given you permission to do so. And always make it a habit to sign if you have written or overwritten in the prescription. As per the MCI, we are to maintain the medical records for about 3 years. The Consumer Protection Act advises us to keep the medical records of OPD for 2 years and for surgical cases for 3 years, 21 years for neonatal patients, and if the patient is mentally retarded or if there is a medical legal case or where litigation is going on, we need to maintain the records for a longer duration of time. To avoid all this, EMR systems are the way to go these days. EMR refers to a use of software to medical record information in an electronic format. What happens with traditional paper is there can be possible wear and tear, it can be lost. Also, there's a lot of space that is required to preserve these medical records and a lot of training of your administrations. You need a lot more effort and time consuming for manual paper records. However, EMRs are a way to go now. Why? Because EMRs provide a consistent, legible, and definitely a searchable database. They are easier to organize and can be alphabetized. You can even attach your additional case records or your investigations onto the EMRs, and they help in better quality of care because this helps us in keeping a track of the patient follow-up and also if the patient has been compliant, what has been the patient progression, etc. Not just that, it helps us to restrict access of the medical records based on the job function, based on what is the position of the person in your hospital. Like in our EMR system, only a doctor can open and make changes in the medical record, but not the front desk reception or the optometrist. Again, it is cost and time saving. So this is how our EMR looks overall. It has the patient data, what the patient presenting complaints are, the vision, the IOP, what his past surgical records are, if any comorbidities, the diagnosis of the patient, the clinical findings, what are the doctor remarks, what medications you are giving, what are the dosage of the medication, how many days the patient has to take these medications for, which eye he has to put it, any special remarks, and finally, next review date. So if you are planning any procedure, surgical or any small procedure, OPD procedures, always remember to take consent. There are various types of consent. One is the implied consent. When the patient walks into your OPD, it means that yes, that the patient has given you consent to examine the patient. Then there is the surrogate or the proxy consent. When the child is if there's a child who's a minor or a mentally retarded patient, the attenders will give you the consent to examine the patient. Then the most important, which we will be dealing with, is the informed consent. So informed consent is a complete information that we give. It is basically an education that we are giving to the patient, and the procedures have to be patient and procedure specific, the informed consent. It should include the mental capacity of the patient. Only a patient with a sound mind who understands the consequences of the possible decision that he is taking is considered a valid consent. It has to be taken free from coercion and should not be forced upon. The consent should include all the risks, complications, the chances of failure, any possible alternate available methods, and if the patient doesn't undergo these procedure or surgery, what is the prognosis? So in another case, I'd say in Vinod Sanghi versus the Neo Retina Eye Care, a patient who had diabetic macular edema was advised intravitreal Avastin along with 7 other patients who were all given Avastin on the same day. All 7 landed up with endophthalmitis. It was seen that the Avastin vial had Klebsiella and Pseudomonas. The arguments put forth by the patient was that it is an off-label use. Even the company which sold the product said that the Avastin was not given for ophthalmic purposes. It was only a cancer drug and should not be used for ophthalmic purposes. And multiple patients were given from the same injection vial, and it was bought from a local unauthorized dealer. Though the counter arguments given was that a special consent was taken for Avastin, and the rest of the management, like vitrectomy for the endophthalmitis, multiple checkups after that, in surgeries, medicines, everything was given free of cost. And the patient was called immediately for review after they got to know that one of them had developed endophthalmitis. The court ruled out that it was a case of gross negligence for which they had to pay amount of 5 lakhs as compensation. So, does giving a consent give you immunity? No, consent itself does not give you immunity. It is only for complications and not for complications that are due to gross negligence. It is given for risks associated with the procedure, and a valid consent can, yes, protect you from a civil and criminal liability, and again, in emergency, we need not take a consent. So the Consumer Protection Act has been prevailing since 1986, and it says that yes, the medical profession comes under service, and service rendered to a patient by a doctor, which can be either medical or surgical, falls under the Consumer Protection Act. Even though it has been there since 1986, recently in 2019, they made some upgradations which said that do not always have a court settlement. They have made provisions for out-of-court settlements, and they are known as alternate dispute resolutions in the mean of mediation, conciliation, and arbitration. So, is the Consumer Protection Act only for patients who pay? No, it is for all patients. It may be free treatment in any way, medicine, surgery, procedure, or if the patient is paying, or if the patient is poor and not able to pay, whatever the means. A patient is a patient and comes under the consumer as a consumer, hence protected by the Consumer Protection Act. So none of the Indian Penal Code nor the Consumer Protection Act give a definite definition of what is negligence. However, negligence is something that is beyond what you are not supposed to do as a service. So it is a breach of responsibility which results in actual damage to the patient, which can either be due to an omission of an act or due to the commission of an act, which no prudent or reasonable doctor under similar circumstances would do. So where all can the patient put in the case? He can put a case under the police, under the civil court, under a criminal court, under a consumer protection court, or even to the medical council. So just briefly, I'll be taking another 2 to 3 minutes. In Damayanti versus Dr. Indu Arora case, the patient had gone to the doctor for a cataract surgery where she was promised that she will regain vision after a minor cataract surgery. However, unfortunately, during the surgery, the patient underwent expulsive suprachoroidal hemorrhage, which the patient did not understand the seriousness of the issue, and they filed a complaint. And patient was lost vision due to this and said that the surgeon negligently damaged the retina during the cataract surgery. However, the arguments given were that yes, expulsive suprachoroidal hemorrhage is a complication of surgery, but it is a very rare but serious complication. The surgeon who operated on the patient was a very qualified and experienced surgeon. All the necessary measures were taken following the expulsive choroidal hemorrhage. A retinal surgeon was called upon, and even the patient was referred to a higher center. Hence, it was said that this is not a medical negligence case. However, on humanitarian grounds, they were asked to pay a compensation of 50,000 rupees. So in a landmark judgment of the Jacob Matthew versus the state of Punjab, which realized that there is a need for protecting the doctors, it said that a police or a private complaint cannot put in a criminal case, as in under section 304A, and unless there is prima facie evidence of such a thing, there has to be an opinion of another doctor, of another specialist doctor of the same branch, preferably from another government hospital. So, is what all does not come under negligence? PC rent is not negligence, neither is nucleus drop, IOL dislocation, RD following YAC cap, glasses following cataract surgery, even drug reaction and endophthalmitis is not a medical negligence. However, failure to document it on the discharge summary, no written explanation given in the informed consent, follow-up time not given, and failure to refer and taking necessary measures to treat the complication will definitely come under negligence. So the court decides what is the extent of the compensation the patient can get, which will depend on the extent of the loss of the future earning, cost of the future medical treatment, what is the mental anguish of the patient, etc. Like in the Krishna Kumar versus the state of Tamil Nadu, a baby was born at 29 weeks of age and did not undergo ROP check, even though the patient was in the NICU for about 2 months. The parents said that they were not instructed, neither were they given in written to undergo a clinical ophthalmic OPD checkup. They said the eye checkup was only casually mentioned, neither were the risks of ROP and prognosis were not given in clear writing, and retinal examination could have been done when the patient was in the NICU for almost a period of 2 months, which meant that the patient lost vision for life, and hence a compensation for life was given to the patient in form of 1.38 crores. So yes, how can you save yourself from all this would be by getting yourself an indemnity insurance. It essentially covers professional indemnity, also compensation during such medical legal aspects. It is necessary for all, including those who are working in government services. It can be up to a sum of a few millions or more. It's better to get 2 or more insurances than a single large one. And indemnity insurances cover surgeries performed at various centers, even eye camps. Inclusion of out-of-the-court settlement clause are also available, and always inform the insurance company if you are faced with a medical legal case. So what to do once now you are served with a notice? So it always depends how you win and who represents you in the court. So get a good lawyer, mention the technical points of reference quoted in books and journals during your case. Complication is not a negligence. Remember, failure to act on it and taking the necessary precautions is. So never refuse to take a medical legal notice. It will prove that you were made aware of it. And notice must be replied. Not replying again amounts to admission of your crime. Deny each and every allegation separately, and women cannot be called upon to the police station after 6 p.m. So I'll be skipping. Yes, if you've been called upon for a second opinion, identify the case, register, record, investigate, and manage the patient. Do not deny the patient any treatment. Please give the patient treatment and then give your final medical opinion. So to keep yourself safe, always get a physical fitness before a surgery. Keep a anesthetist standby. Keep an oxygen cylinder in your OT. Always take a written informed consent. In case of death on table, inform the police and insist on a postmortem. And the Supreme Court guidelines say that a doctor cannot be arrested based on 304A unless there is another opinion by an expert doctor. To summarize, I would say yes, your attitude, have empathy towards the patient. Your behavior once there is a complication all depends, and your support towards the patient also helps in making the patient happier. Communicate. Tell the patient the possible complications and what all can be done to take care of the patient. And finally, document. Thank you.
I think that sums it all. So we would be happy to answer a few questions if somebody has. But the summary of this is documentation, documentation, documentation. If your documents are right, you could have said anything to the patient verbally. If it is not documented, the court will not hold true. I will share one small example. We had a patient, traumatic cataract. I operated him, iridodialysis, subluxation cataract, everything went fine. The patient had retina detachment after 1.5 months. The patient had retina detachment, and then he didn't come back to us. He went to Shankardev Netralaya, got operated. He filed a suit of 1 crore rupees because over there he hid the history of trauma. So the surgeon obviously there saw a mild iridodialysis and a CTR. So probably told him that the doctor caused it. What saved the day was a diagram made by us on the first day he was seen, mentioning iridodialysis, and in advising cataract mentioned the chances of vitreous loss, nuclear drop, retina detachment possible. Written document. So the patient was a very powerful lawyer from a high court. He just got after us like a mad dog, but he could not do a single thing because the paperwork was rock solid. He even got the police to arrest us. In section 420, there is no 420 for doctors. 420 is cheating, fraud. He said there's been a fraud. I went to take vision, I got blindness. So he made that case. Our paper saved us. So always mention in your discharge summary if there's a complication. In your first follow-up after the surgery, mention whatever happened in the follow-ups, and always keep the patient open for second opinion. You can write it down. Patient advised to take a second opinion. These 3 things, because the patient most often complained by the patient is the doctor hid the facts from me and he did not let me take second opinion. Write down these 3 things. You can say whatever you want, but if these things are documented, by far and large, nothing will happen. So if you have any questions, we'll be very happy to answer. Yeah.
So actually the inpatient records from the current NMC guidelines for the, I do not the private hospitals, for the medical college hospitals, we have to store for a minimum 5 years. It has to be published in the local newspapers 1 month period. So and so period, inpatient records have been destroyed.
Absolutely.
And second thing, medical legal cases, it has to be stored lifelong.
Yeah. One thing more is that once we have an official medical record, we have hired an organization who looks after records. There's an official document that all the records have been sent to them. And after 5 years term, they are the ones, it's their job to destroy the documents, and they give us a certificate that we did hand them the documents, and it has been 5 years post the last document we supplied to them, and they are destroying them. And we have that certificate. We had one case who was operated by one of our surgeons who was working in another organization, and the surgeon joined us. After 7 years, the patient came to us with failed cornea because due to a pseudophakic bullous keratopathy. We gave that certificate to the judge that we have no records, and this is the record of the destruction of records, and what was the patient doing for 5 years, and that one paper saved us. So it's I think it's a very good point you brought about. Record of destruction of records also is as important.
And sir, also sir, if there is any surgical complication or something, the patient can only file a case only after 2 years. If it is more than 2 years, then it is subject to the jurisdiction of the court and the magistrate, that whether he would basically entertain it or not, because you cannot have after 15 or 20 years you can say that okay, these are the things which have been in 15-20 years back and this was a negligence.
So when we take physician fitness, MD medicine fitness for cataract surgery, how long it is valid?
See, again, there is no given rule for that. But we as a standard, what we do is, in my practice, if there's anybody who's got a stenting or a cardiac procedure done within last 2 years, he has to take a written fitness from his treating cardiologist. But if the patient has got a bypass done 5, 7, 10 years ago, he goes through a PAC with our own head anesthetist. And if our anesthetist decides to get some test done, it is done. So we don't interfere there. Then we let the anesthetist decide. So the certificate given by the doctor by all logical means should work for. There is no rule for that, I guess. Okay. 1 month or so.
One month usually we consider as a fitness.
That's
and
what I said.
If the patient is diabetic, then we usually repeat the blood sugars before second eye surgery.
Absolutely. True.
I have a question to Dr. Pooja. You told in your presentation that we should take 2 indemnity insurance rather than one big one. So what's the rationale behind that?
So rather than one big sum amount, if there are 2 insurances, then they'll help us cover. If it is a very large amount, like 1.38, one of the cases had such a big amount. Many don't give such big amounts, even if you have taken insurance. So if you have 2, then it's better coverage.
Yeah. Another Dr. Kapoor told that go for a good lawyer, but it's not in your hand. The insurance company will select for you.
Okay, that's a very, very good point. You should always make sure that you inform your insurance company whenever there is a case filed on you. Because the biggest excuse the insurance company has is when you bring them on in the last part that we were not a party to it, we will not pay it. The moment you get a legal notice, send a copy of that to your insurance company, take a receiving stamp from them. Otherwise, they will not become a co-party, number 1. Number 2, it is always a good idea to have your own lawyer also. Because I go as a witness, an expert witness for a lot of cases. The insurance company lawyers are, I don't even want to use the word, they are good for nothing. Because a lot of times I have them standing with me, defending somebody. They are good for nothing. They are some very basic lawyers. So don't trust them. Don't trust them. Always have your own lawyer. The insurance company will just do a face wash, just an eye wash. They'll send a lawyer who will not do much. And in the end, they will contest that we will not give this much and that much. They will bother you. Because it is your neck on the line. So always take a good lawyer.
So I am having a case, and what I find, I am very comfortable with the lawyer who is dealing with the case. And I asked my insurance company, can you change the lawyer? They told that why you have to think. If you lose, we'll pay the money. So how I should counter this with the insurance company?
Sir, I just say it's not just the money. Yes. It is not just the money.
That's also with my reputation also.
It is not just the money. Losing a case and having it listed on the website. If you ever had a case on you, just Google it up. It is there forever. Your grandchildren will see that case. So if you've lost it, it is there. Insurance company has paid the money, but your patients are seeing that you paid 20 lakhs to somebody as a compensation. That value you need to decide. How valuable is that for you? So I hope what I'm saying is ringing true for you. If you go on website and if you see any case against me, all of them we have won. So in the end says the court declined this thing or kind of rebutted the complainant. That's the end. So it makes a lot of sense. It's not just the money. Yes, it is important. But if you have 3-4 cases where you've lost, it could not be your fault also. But if you've lost, insurance company is paid. It's there forever listed. So just take care of that.
Posterior capsular rent, all of us dread. Say there is a rent with a drop. What is your personal take? Do you charge the patient for the second surgery? Like how you handle it? I just want to understand. Because say you charge, the patient may be unhappy because as you said, the first thing which makes the patient unhappiest is the money thing. But if you do them for free, say later, the court may rule ki you must have done something wrong. That's why, like, so what is your personal take? Like,
Okay.
it's a mix.
I think what I said was that was my personal choice. I always recommend to my fellow associates also that God forbid there's a PC rent or there's a complication. My first choice is to weight it down. There are many scientific reasons for it also, but let's talk about the psychological reasons. First reason is the patient's expectations are now grounded. He has been told that the vision will be less and after some time he will improve. He gets used to a 2/60 or a 3/60. After that, if he gets 6/9 or 6/12 parts and needs to use some glasses here and there, he's okay with it. Number two, the anterior and posterior capsular fibrosis has started happening. That's far more secure area for you to put a secondary PCIOL in case you're planning to. But in case the whole capsule is gone and you have a retina surgeon stand by, and if you feel the patient is out of town and needs to go out, so there are a lot of intricate factors we'd work in. 4 days ago, I had one of my associates operating and there was an issue. She called me, so I just found out where is the patient from. So we found out the patient is from Ludhiana. So I put in the lens then and there. But if it's my local patient, a lot of times I tell them on table that there's a rent and there's an opening. I would be very happy putting the lens at a later point. What do you want? She would say, Doctor Sahab, aap dekhiye jo theek lagta hai. So take them on board, decide. But in case you've decided not to put it, just tell them that I have decided I will not put it. XYZ reason, whatever is the reason, and document it in the discharge sheet.
I wanted to know about the, sir, I wanted to know about the financial component.
Okay, you
Like
wanted to
second
ask about the
surgery you
charges.
charge. Yeah, do you charge or-
In case the patient is being operated in your own institute, let's say I've charged the patient for cataract surgery, I've not put the lens in. And the next session, I'm just going to do some bit of anterior vitrectomy and put the lens in the sulcus. There are no charges. Because he's already paid for a complete package. That is one recipe for making the patient, ensuring that there's no unhappiness. But in case you need to send the patient to a second person, you don't have a retina person in your team, that is when the things will start going haywire. So for that, what you can do is you can have a tie-up with the local retina person and tell them that whenever I send a patient of mine, please let's have a fixed rate. Even if his charges are, let's say his charges are 45,000 or something, you say, can you fix a rate for me, because I'll be sending my patients regularly to you. And off and on, when you have a complete normal regular patient, he charges his regular fees. But if it's a complication, you can have these kind of tie-ups. That's what we did when I was initially just a small practice with no specialties. Now, inshallah, we have 55, 60 doctors in my organization. But at that point, I had a tie-up with the local retina person that I'll be sending you a patient, please don't charge completely, and tell him that you're giving a discount. Your normal charges are 40,000 rupees and you're charging 18, 19, 20. For other patients which I'm sending you for regular diabetic retinopathy or regular retina detachment, you can charge your charges. So this is an understanding, because he gets a constant flow of patients from you. Everybody will adjust with you.
Sir,
I think they're asking us to.
Yeah. We are already.
one question. Sir, regarding consent, which is more acceptable, handwritten, printed, or video consent?
The consent, first thing is, should be in the language the patient understands. The law says if it is in a language the patient doesn't understand, it is invalid. So it has to be in the language the patient understands. And in case the patient doesn't understand, he should have somebody who should have read it out to him. And then he has to write in his own language that it was printed, it was in a language which I don't understand. Somebody has read it out to me and I've understood everything, and I'm in my complete conscious mind agree to the terms.
Printed and handwritten both are
They both
valid,
work, yes, they both work.
Because
They both work.
RP center in names, so it is that in some times where some specific procedures are there where there is no per se consent form, you can have a written consent form, handwritten also. It is equally applicable under the law.
I think that'll be the last. Thank you all for giving it a very, very successful instruction course.
Very nice session, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhushan sir.